Honda's latest Formula 1 project is officially over, and it's ended in unrecognisable form to how it started. The successful partnership with Red Bull, peaking with Max Verstappen's 2021 title victory, makes it very easy to forget just how bad Honda was, even as recently as 2017. During that final year with McLaren, Honda struggled with a sense of hopelessness, and there was a desire in the boardroom to kill the project. A few seasons later, and Honda is indeed walking away from F1, but it's doing so as a World Championship winning project after a remarkable transformation. When Honda's return to F1 with McLaren was planned for 2015, both parties were talking it up significantly, with great expectations and conviction. But the first hybrid F1 engine from Honda was flawed from the start. This was partly because McLaren pressured Honda into entering a full year earlier than initially planned, leaving it colossally underprepared. And what was produced was a compromised layout, with the compressor mounted within the V6 bank and smaller than its rivals as a result, to help achieve a tightly packaged size zero concept for aerodynamic benefits. The result was a drastically underpowered and woefully unreliable engine, and a miserable 2015 season. Sticking with this concept for 2016 at least meant Honda could improve its reliability, but the underlying lack of performance was still a problem, and that triggered a massive overhaul for 2017. Honda expected that its new engine layout with the split turbo and compressor mirroring Mercedes solution carried a risk as it was such an unknown, but it couldn't have expected the massive struggle that followed. Pre-season testing was wrecked by an oil tank problem that had not emerged on the dyno, and when that was solved and the mileage count finally increased, other more fundamental problems emerged, primarily with the MGU-H. Honda was already really struggling to get the high-revving MGU-H to function properly, so tended to run it at reduced speed for reliability reasons, and that severely blunted the engine's power. Several races into the 2017 season, Honda was forced to admit its MGU-H could only manage 2 Grand Prix at a time. It needed to complete 3 times that distance. Honda's F1 technical director Toyoharu Tanabe, who was recruited after this awful final year with McLaren, reflects on that period with great sympathy. He says, "They were having a very hard time. You cannot see any sign, you cannot see any light, just working, failure and no power." As 2017 progressed, Honda introduced frequent upgrades to try to fix its miserable form, but it became clear that McLaren was losing faith. At the Belgian Grand Prix, Honda introduced an update, but not the full step it had hoped for, as it missed its development schedule. Both cars retired from that race and the following one in Italy. McLaren said it was dejected and dissatisfied after Monza, by which point the decision had been made for the team to split with Honda. By the end of the year, the McLaren-Honda collaboration would end with a miserable record of 133 points from 60 races, no poles, no wins, not even a single podium. It fell a long way short from the lofty ambitions of repeating the dominance of the original McLaren-Honda years from the 1980s and early 1990s. And the desperation within Honda across this period can be best summed up by the project's overall boss Masashi Yamamoto, who had to answer to Honda's Japan headquarters. He says, "That was the first time I couldn't really feel any hope for the future. Some of the board members said, 'Why do we continue this? Why don't we quit?' I thought that might also be for the best. We were not able to imagine that we were fighting for a championship like this. There was no light." Around the time the McLaren partnership was reaching breaking point, Honda suffered another blow. Sauber cancelled the deal to run Honda engines from 2018. Yeah, Sauber. Remember that? That came just before the summer break, so a couple of months ahead of the news that McLaren and Honda were separating. This plunged the future of Honda's F1 program into jeopardy. The only way to keep Honda in F1 would be a deal with Toro Rosso, but that required Toro Rosso to get out of its Renault deal. When the McLaren-Honda split was confirmed in Singapore, it wasn't an isolated announcement. It was connected to others, Toro Rosso releasing Carlos Sainz to drive for Renault in 2018, and Renault releasing Toro Rosso from its engine contract in return, allowing Toro Rosso and Honda to announce a new engine partnership. To pull that off, Honda needed someone to believe in its project in the face of McLaren's obvious, public and unflinching vote of no confidence. Fortunately, the progress Honda was making beyond the still dreadful set of results was something that representatives at Red Bull had already bought into by mid-2017. And before the likes of Helmut Marko and Christian Horner would begin to foster a closer relationship with senior Honda staff, someone else in the Red Bull family had already played a key role in saving the Honda project. Yamamoto says it was actually Franz Tost who said that Honda can do it. He had spoken to board members and said we have to continue to recover. Before talking to Helmut, we talked to Franz a little bit. That confidence was justified. Toro Rosso eclipsed anything McLaren achieved in the previous 3 years by finishing 4th in Bahrain on the team's second start with Honda in 2018. Off track, Toro Rosso put an emphasis on completely open communication and encouraged Honda to be bolder and more demanding. Instead of the team telling its engine supplier what to do, it was far more receptive to compromises. This played a key role in Honda's consistent progress through 2018. It didn't manifest itself in a major shift in results, as Toro Rosso scored only 3 points more than McLaren did in 2017, but this was no great surprise. After all, Honda was paired with a weaker midfield team that suffered a litany of grid penalties, as Honda was encouraged to bring new specifications to develop as quickly as possible. The performance and the progress in the first half of the year had already proven immensely valuable, as this convinced Red Bull to leave Renault and commit to Honda properly. That Toro Rosso season is easily underestimated in Honda's recent history, but it was absolutely vital. That's why after Pierre Gasly took a shock win at Monza in 2020, Yamamoto said, "The Red Bull partnership cannot be told without the success or the step forwards we made with Toro Rosso. We don't know how much we can say thank you for that contribution to Franz Tost and his team." During the Toro Rosso season, and especially in the first year with Red Bull, Honda benefited from a shift in its team composition and its development approach. The first priority was to ensure proper reliability. With Tanabe installed as F1 technical director and responsible for all trackside operations, there was a noticeable improvement in how Honda addressed its problems. Before, Honda had been guilty of working on multiple areas of development at once and never making the necessary progress in any of them. Tanabe's approach was different. He gave the workflow a lot more structure and improved the communication between trackside operations and the research and development centres in Sakura and Milton Keynes. So Honda began better prioritising its areas of concerns. This narrower focus sped up development and ensured a better success rate. One example of this was an important improvement with its MGUH in late 2018, which came as a result of a collaboration with Honda's jet engine division in Japan. That was a crucial step in Honda getting its reliability under control. The MGUH issues were responsible for what Yamamoto considers the hardest moment of the project, which was multiple failures over one weekend in Bahrain in 2017. So this had plagued Honda for a long time, and in getting that under control, Honda was able to shift from what Tanabe calls a negative development cycle, constantly trying to fix problems and recover, to a positive development cycle, where it was more aggressively chasing performance. At the same time as Tanabe was giving the overall project more structure, long-time Honda man and company automotive design legend Yasuaki Asaki had taken the reins at Sakura. The two worked under Yamamoto as the F1 project's managing director, and this triangular structure is considered to have created an immensely effective working dynamic. For example, Asaki was emboldened by the MGUH progress to pursue another Honda Jet collaboration, this time on the design of the blades inside the turbo. Without these gradual gains, Honda would never have been in a position to make the aggressive, innovative upgrades it did for 2021, this time with its internal combustion engine and latterly its energy store. We've made a few videos detailing the impressive work Honda undertook for its 2021 power unit, so we won't repeat ourselves too much here. It's absolutely worth checking those videos out if you want a deeper dive into that technology, but the confidence to commit to a concept overhaul in such a short time frame in order to fight for the World Championship tells you all you need to know about Honda's progress operationally and technologically. Underpinning all of this was the close working relationship with both Red Bull teams and a feeling of trust and collaboration that Honda has made clear did not exist the same way with McLaren. Tanabe had previously worked in F1 with Honda's last works team and reckons the close relationship with the Red Bull organisations was a similar arrangement in terms of communication and compromise. Essentially, the Red Bull years developed into what the McLaren partnership was meant to be, But by the time Verstappen was racking up wins and ultimately clinching the World Championship in 2021, Honda's organisation and its power unit were both drastically different from the setup it started with. Had Honda not split from McLaren, it's unlikely it would have enjoyed such a transformation on track and off it. As Yamamoto says, even if we had continued with the McLaren project, I don't really think we could have been successful, nor McLaren either. The structure we started with wasn't really right. We could start from zero with Toro Rosso and Red Bull, that was a restart and we needed it. So that's the story of how an awful F1 project became a title winning one. How impressed have you been by Honda's transformation, and are you sad to see the manufacturer leave? Let us know in the comments and leave us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video.